case in Delhi tribunal. The case went on for, after me, it's about half an hour case. But since we have a man who doesn't know there is a tax, we have to work hard on this issue. He says, वो टैक्स लॉ नहीं है, ये वो तो किसी और एक्ट में है. We have Sanjay Sharma. We'll welcome him first. Then we continue. Let's complete the formality. Anand Trivadi's father is not well. Body Ali is Swaraj is mother death. They are coming. I will request Ashok Sharma to welcome Sanjay Sharma, please. He is our Celtex Bar president. Let's give him a big hand. To organize this kind of a thing, he was a part of it. Photo video, bhai. Photo video. चटनी है. Photo. Sanjay, before we start, you can say a few words.
Hare Krishna to all.
He's not a Modi bhakt, but he is Hare Krishna bhakt.
Yes. My seniors in the profession, Celtex Bar members, and all the more important, the learning enthusiasts here. Friends, on 31st May this year, a vacation bench of Supreme Court, they made a comment, oral comment, remark rather I would say, that seniors in the profession of 25 years of experience and above, they should undertake to educate and to guide 15 young lawyers. Taking a cue from this, the two senior members of our bar, Mr. Raj K. Batra ji, is he here?
No, he's not here.
And especially Mr. Sushil Verma ji, they took a cue from this and they devised immediately. I really appreciate their promptness. With what promptness and zeal they took up this initiative and devised this intensive workshop for you all, a 50 hours workshop, which I tell you is really going to help all of you in your professional career. And I would request you to please complete it honestly. Not only for the first day, second day, in continuity. Because learning procedure is a continuous procedure. It's never ending. Friends, you are very lucky that you have got such a good seniors who are guiding you. You have grabbed this opportunity, and whenever I would get time, I would definitely join you so that I can also be a part of this learning, because learning never ends. Friends, I believe after joining this intensive training, you all will be groomed up better in your profession. We have three glaring examples which I know personally, maybe more. One of them is Suresh Agrawal, our erstwhile Vice President. Rashmi Jain, if she is sitting here, she is coming. And third, I would say Rupinder Shah. Maybe more, but these three members of the bar I have observed, they gained a lot session which we started 4 or 5 years back, which was conceptualized by our senior member, our mentor, Mr. H.C. Bhatia. And I'm very happy that these three are here, and you can also be this. They have really picked up, and I tell you, this platform, this training will definitely give you impetus to grow. So, I will not take much of your time because it's very important for you to learn. I can only say, may Ma Saraswati bless you all, and happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay, for your wisdom.
Sir, I am here for at least half an hour because 11 o'clock we have vaccination camp. I have to inaugurate it. And then we have a meeting with the 11:30 we have a
Send me a message. Body's father is. That's why he's
not here, but because we have a meeting as per High Court directions. It's a very important meeting which is going to take place regarding the interest matters and the refund matter. and Mr. Rajesh Jain, who is going to part of the faculty here, he's going to lead us for that. So please, sir, thank you very much.
Okay. So we were doing the next part, judicial interpretation. Now there are certain common words used in legislature, and, or, it, was, may, shall. Any definition from any act, the definition shall get invoked in GST laws. But if you are dealing with a value-added tax regime, service tax or value-added tax or GST law, any judgment passed in that tax shall be of relevance here also. So if the words have been judicially defined, don't pick up blindly. See the definition in that particular act, see your definition. If they are substantially same, adopt the definition. If the word is not otherwise defined, for example, immovable property, you have to know what is immovable property. I told you X. Then the policy transfer of property Act. It's all defined. So you see what context you are using. But since it's not defined, these are the only three references which you can adopt. So judicial definitions are very important. Next, reference to other statutes. For example, the second definition is actionable claim. Actionable claim is defined as per Transfer of Property Act. That is, they are adopting the definition by reference to some other statute. Therefore, you have to read that statute to understand what is actionable. For example, definition of your zone होते हैं special economic zone. The definition is special economic zone as defined in section 4 of Special Zone Act. Now, whenever a statute uses or adopts by reference some other acts to define a particular word, then you have to go by that definition. It's quite possible that something is defined here, but in the body of the section or a body of a section or a body of a subsection. So be careful whenever you see such things, pick up those sections. You don't have a book, Google it, take a printout, keep in your file. You don't have to buy all the books. If you buy 10% of your income, you should spend on buying books. I spend 20%. If I make a crore, I spend 20 lakhs on my education. He's a victim of my associate. How many books do you have in your house? They know we don't read them. But I make it a habit. Yes, I read them. People who come to my office, they are shocked. You are a tax lawyer or you are a constitutional lawyer. It's a quest for learning. Like Sanjay said, you have to remain a student of law. 6% में इतने पैसे बनाऊंगा, इतने पैसे की मैं किताबें खरीदूंगा. Professional course, not the novels and fiction or DVDs. मैं किताबें खरीदूंगा. Then the whole act principle. This we call rule of harmonious consent. If you go to preamble of a statute, if you go to preamble of this act, to make a provision for levy and collection of tax on intrastate supply of goods of services for both by central government and for matters connected therewith for incidental thereof. This is the preamble of the act. Sometimes preamble is used by courts to give an interpretation. Say for example, you have so many advanced rulings. Okay, goods sold and bought outside India cannot be taxed because the preamble does not authorize this to do. This act is applicable. Mr. Batra has come. Let's welcome Mr. Raj Batra. Mr. Sanjay Sharma will welcome Raj Batra ji. This is the important with two man. Then people are taking photographs. We will hear Mr. Banga towards the end of the session. The whole act principle. So when you read the preamble will tell you what is the scope of the act. Now supposing this act levies tax on gambling, not gambling as a service. Tax on gambling is not authorized. That's not a part of preamble. This can be challenged and courts will throw it out. So preamble is also a good interpretation of tool when you have to read whole act together. So if in a particular provision you might find, oh, it's all over. You have to read other provisions also. Is there any power in some other section also to harass you, to torture you, to give you some relief? So that is called principle of the whole act principle. The whole act has to be read together, and the harmonious construction of the whole act leads to a conclusion that you want to arrive at. That may be correct. But if you read a particular section and you ignore the other sections, you will have problems. And your opinion is likely to be wrong. Next is, no word should be ignored. Rule. Whatever words are used by the specialists, they are used by the lawmakers. Each word has a meaning. While understanding a provision, you cannot and you should not ever ignore a word. It could be and, or, full stop, comma, any word. For example, when you go to demand and recovery chapter 73, 74, we all know service tax. लेकिन ये हमारे जो ये सेक्शन है वो सर्विस टैक्स से अलग है, ये लैंग्वेज अलग, वर्ड अलग. So short paid or not paid or underpaid, तीनों का मतलब तो एक ही है, बट लॉ में तीनों का मतलब अलग है. Consequences are collusion, concealment, misstatement, fraudulent. These are the words used in section 73 and 74. So once you get show cause notice, you will get show cause notice only under these two provisions. The demand recovery can be made only in chapter 10, 73, 74. और कुछ chapter में recovery होनी चाहिए. So whenever you are reading, don't jump. इसमें नहीं आता, इसमें नहीं आता. But if there is a consequential provision giving effect to that section, please read that also. That's the example. For example, you read a rule. Rule may contain a language which is not good for you. But rules cannot override that. वो कॉल आपको लेना है एज ए प्रोफेशनल, क्या मैं इसको काम को करें या ना. There are two key provisions you have to learn: a charging section and a machinery section and rules. The purpose of charging section is to authorize levy by the legislature. If there is no charging section, no taxable levy. We have a Supreme Court ruling in India Carbon case dealing with interest on pending C-forms. Total demand was 14,000 crore. Matter went to Supreme Court. It was said that through Section 9, Subsection 2 of Central Sales Tax Act, the provisions of local act shall be followed, therefore interest will be levied. Court said no. Levy of interest is a substantial provision. It's not a matter of procedure. What 9(2) authorizes is only a procedure, not the substantial levy. They quashed the demand of 14,000 crores. Then they amended the act. They brought in a provision of interest in Central Act. Therefore, a substantial provision like Section 9 you have in GST. This is levy of tax under GST. And that is what we're going to read. Because everything is taxable unless accepted, except petroleum or liquor for human consumption. Liquor for human consumption itself is a very big phrase. It's not what you get whiskey. In India, there are so many things which are people drink. Tharra, kachi whiskey, badi whiskey, they're all liquor for human drinks. So, काफी litigation हो रहा है बाहर गांव में. So remember, the rules. GST Act में rules की इतनी भुक्कत नहीं है, except for valuation rules और input tax rules कोई कानून में खास नहीं. उनकी rule की language Act में लिखी हुई. Most of the major provisions have rules incorporated in the substantial provisions itself. But we will do rules when I think it's necessary for us to discuss it. That's why we were not given the rules. Adjustum generis attendis principle. I don't know how many of you have ever read this phrase. I'm sure none of you. I also 10 years back never read it. But only when we got into high court litigation, without this was not possible. Definitions में एक्ट की इंटरप्रिटेशन करने में इसका बहुत बड़ा रोल है. System general means general words follow specific words in the same category. For example, definition of animal. Supposing animal is defined as dogs, cats, sheep, then any other animal who can be coming in this category, that is, these are general words. So any other animal in this category who can walk on four legs, who can walk around, have a need, will be included. Not snakes, not turtles, not fishes. Huh? So specific words are dogs, pets, sheep. इस तरह के. तो अगर इस तरह के एनिमल कोई दुनिया में और भी है, that will also be by a principle of existence generis be applied to that definition of animal. So if there is an animal sale is exam, and you come across a category, the animal which is not mentioned in the definition, and you apply this rule of existence generis, provided you are dealing with an inclusive definition. These principles become applicable if you are dealing with inclusive definitions. If you are dealing with a restrictive definition, nothing can be added. Chapter is closed. Right? For example, go to section 67, section C. Property of any kind. Property word is not defined. So few courts have seized the cash. We are in high courts, cash because seized कर सकते हो. But 3 courts have held cash can be seized with the property. That is by principle of existence. This principle we have to keep in mind. Related statute principle. I have included this because I feel very aghast when I have to before the private tribunal, where they don't follow this principle at all. Supreme Court follows. That is, if you are dealing with a related act, a tax act. General principles laid down in those acts shall be equally applicable in GST. For example, best judgment assessment. For example, section 83, section 73, 74. All these sections exist in service tax custom regime. हाथों नहीं देंगे वो custom act हम लागू नहीं करेंगे. No. So whenever you find a provision existed in a related act, if you do not find any material in GST, go through those related acts. I have won 3 or 4 cases in the last 3-4 months in High Court by adopting this principle. So GST में कुछ था नहीं. Recently I have done a case, you will be shocked. Only Mr. Batra knows because I already discussed with our mentor, with my brother. We love him. All of us love you, sir. All of us love you. The case came to me where interest on refund was given late by 7 months. The fund was 17 crore. What it is? 17 crores, interest of certain amount. We said where is interest for interest? The concerned deputy commissioner jumped. Mr. Verma, what do you mean? आपको चक्रवर्ती बैठ जाएगा हमारे से? Because in a related act, in the case of Salve KC versus Union of India, Supreme Court held, reversing Bombay High Court ruling, in Income Tax Act, even though there is no provision to pay interest on interest, but the definition of excess amount, they say includes interest. So the excess amount of interest was to be given to you by 7 months back. You withheld the amount, pay interest. Supreme Court, 3 judges bench, reversed Bombay High Court ruling, and interest on interest reported this and that. They said, well, you debate it. So that was the related act. There is no provision here on interest on interest. So what it requires in litigation? You have to spend half an hour, 1 hour pooling. Don't take money and pocket it. Work for that money. If you want to be a good professional, you have to be very legitimately earning the money. जितना भी टाइम लगे, आपने 20,000 किसी से लिया, उसके 20 लाख लगे, आपको 20,000 में काम करना है. लेकिन it will give you internal satisfaction after a good job. Mr. Batra test me many times. Even today I can tell you I am telling on his face. He test me. क्या बताना क्या है? हमें फोन पे बोलो. I don't somebody senior to me is going to test my knowledge. So अगर मैं क्लाइंट को एक पेज लिखना मेरे को 4 पेज लिख के भेजता हूँ, क्या होता है उसमें? आपको when you work for a client, you don't work for a client. You work for you. Work hard. So, for example, Rasik Makar called me yesterday. I love him. He's a very good student of law. He started very rarely started accounting as such good student of law as Rasik Makar is. So we discussed a strategy for a particular matter, and he was happy. I said, "No, your strategy is boiled down to one act." I'm sure कल रात से काम कर रहा हूँ, करेगा? कर रहा है. Our case is done. We say this time. So always remember, relative tax. There was no provision in Income Tax Act to pay interest on interest. There is no provision here. But the language of the refund amount is same as in Income Tax Act. Therefore, we challenge it to give us interest. And we will get it. I am arguing a matter in this tribunal also. We have claimed interest on interest. I am sure this tribunal can't understand beyond him. But we think it High Court. Next is purpose of the act. This preamble we discussed. Yeah, we discussed. Next is. Last one. So this is the background to learning tax laws. In summary, a word defined in the act shall have the same meaning unless the context otherwise required in a particular chapter, section, or subsection. You have to be careful. Each section, when you read, each section will have 8-9 words in GST law and on average, which are defined in the act. Don't jump to input tax. You have to first know what is input. Then you know what is input tax, what is input service, what is input tax credit, all four are defined. तो चारों को अलग अलग मतलब. अभी किसी बहुत बड़े बंदे ने कुछ महीने मेरे को बोला था कि मेरा तो उन्होंने टैक्स में सब कुछ ठीक था, सब गलत कर दिया. सालों को शिकायत करूँगा, ना करो शिकायत. ठीक है? मैं तो आपका एड्रेस क्या है? एड्रेस नहीं है, मैं क्या टैक्स में किसके एड्रेस पे? उसी का फर्क पड़ता है. But the purpose of this address is defined in the act. If you don't follow, you will violate Rule 31, 6 or whatever the rule is. Your tax invoice shall be invalid for the purpose of the tax. High Court will give you relief for the authorities. So with this, we go through important definition today. I'm not going to read all definitions. Actionable claim we shall leave for the time being. We will do as with the schedules. Address of delivery, subsection 2. पूछे जाएंगे आप देख लेना बड़ी एम्बैरेसिंग होगी. I'm a very blunt person. ध्यान से सुनना. Address of delivery means. So what is the definition? It means restrictive. Address of delivery means only this, nothing else. You cannot say that वो गलती हो गया था, मेरे अकाउंटेंट ने ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया. Nothing doing. You can be invoked in section 74 for a fraud also if you do this. So it means address of the recipient of goods or services or both indicated on the tax invoice issued by registered dealer for delivery of such goods or services or both. Now, one more principle we add. Once you read a definition, see under what situation this is definition applicable. It says goods or services or both. There are three things in GST law. You can tax goods, services, or both. That is composite supply, cost contract, catering contract, they are both goods and services together. So if the definition applies to all the three, then you have to be careful, this is applicable to all the three. So जो आपने GST में जो आप नंबर लेते हैं, GST नंबर लेते हैं और एड्रेस उसमें लिखते हैं, वही एड्रेस आपको होना चाहिए. If you have different address, if the cash it comes, no court will leave. This amounts to a rate. Right? Address on record again means definition. Adjudicating authority. It's a definition which I have been repeatedly discussing with people. We have come to some conclusion. Let's read this quickly in 1 minute. It's a means definition. Its definition is restrictive. No other authority can be adjudicating authority except what is mentioned here. Authority appointed or authorized. The words used are appointed or authorized. Authorized, I think word is fine. No, authorized body is not defined, so both are not defined. Appointed means commissioner cannot appoint anybody. Only government can appoint. Commissioner can be appointed by government, but commissioner can authorize somebody. Right? If he has the power of delegation under section 5 or section 2 of this law. So adjudicating authority means, restrictive definition, appointed or authorized to pass any order or decision under the act. There are some non-appealable orders. There are orders like refund order, or there is a decision like appellate authority. The order or decision is defined distinction between under CPC. We will discuss this when we discuss this. What's the distinction as per CPC between order and decision and judgment, followed by decree. ये चारों वर्ड हम जरूर सीखेंगे during the course of this week. But does not include. So it means appointed or authorized to pass any order or decision under this act, comma. So once in between a sentence, grammatically use a comma, the sentence is broken. Now this is where a distant general can come into play, if required. But here the use bit, but does not include. It's a negatively worded clause. कोई भी authority appointed authorized adjudicating authority हो सकती है to pass any order or decision under this act, but does not include the Central Board of Taxes. They cannot be adjudicating authority because they implement the act. The revisional authority appointed under section 108, they cannot be adjudicating authority. The authority for advance ruling cannot be. The appellate authority for advance ruling, the appellate tribunal, and the authority referred to in subsection 2 of section 71. Now again, now you have to go to section 171. Let's go through it quickly. क्या कहते हैं? I of course know, but I want you to read. We have two cases, but they carry to, I'm sure we will win it. The central government may, on recommendation of the council by notification, constitute. We have Mr. S. K. Bhatia with us, sir, please. 1 minute, sir. We have Mr. S. K. Bhatia. Let's stand up and give him a big round of applause. And I will request Mr. Raj Patra to welcome Mr. S. K. Bhatia with a bouquet. He's a shy person. That is too handsome to be seen by people.
I second that.
No, these are not dramatic, these are privileged. Both of you coming to the So if you read 170.2, who has the power? Only central government. But if you read DGST, the words may change for the purpose of adjudicating authority. Central government may, on the recommendation of the council, by notification, constitute an authority or empower any existing authority, etc., etc. So, if you are saying whether he is an adjudicating authority, for example, यहाँ लोग appellate authority है, वो refund discuss करते हैं, adjudicate करते हैं, this is illegal. You cannot do it. Whenever you have provision like 172, which you call a regulatory provision, you have to be careful. Central government, on the recommendation of the council by a notification, not by order circular. Notification has to be published in the official gazette of the that particular authority. So adjudicating authority में हमें ध्यान से पढ़ना है जब हम कोई litigation शुरू करते हैं क्या इसको adjudicate करने की पावर है. For example, there is a pecuniary jurisdiction like let's say 10 lakh rupees. That a person not below the joint commission can issue your account. Please take it. All the best.
Thank you, friends. Please enjoy. Please happy learning. इसके बाद कोई वैक्सीनेशन के लिए रह गया हो तो प्लीज अपने आप को वैक्सीनेट करवा लीजिए. You and your family can come and avail the facility on the first floor.
So, for example, pecuniary jurisdiction we say that above 10 lakh rupees only joint commission can be. Who can adjudicate your account? Joint commission. Internal system commissioner. You do not do anything else without jurisdiction. So this is the importance when you read a definition. So whenever you start litigation, first thing is, does this man have the jurisdiction? तो उसके लिए सर्कुलर नोटिफिकेशन सब आपको पढ़ने पड़ेंगे, हजारों. But our sales tax part had made a list of all notifications subject by you can always take from them. Deepika Khanna had made one, I remember back. She was president of she had made one. But you have to read it. Now supposing you been only on this point. Time barring, nobody can help it. For example, in one of the cases in Delhi, he took commissioner's approval on file. कि मैं authorize करने के लिए. I could say what nonsense is this? What is notification? So commissioner passed notification on individual files. No. That is wherever this jurisdiction is dependent on certain considerations, certain conditions. Those conditions must exist. If those conditions must exist, don't exist, you must challenge your apply your jurisdiction. Don't hesitate. Nobody will eat you. Nobody will eat you. I recently have one of the cases where some additional commissioner has issued slogan notices to 20 people. He says, go and appear before the assistant commissioner. I met him day before. I said, how can you do it? Your slogan notice shall be adjudicated by assistant commissioner. I said, मैं उनको मिठा कर रहा हूँ. तो जो confirmed है तो मैं अपील कर लेते सीधा. मिस्टर वर्मा ने हमारे सर्कुलर है ना क्या हो सकता है? I'm giving you the right to adjudicate. You have no jurisdiction. So litigation is this. Don't hesitate. Be bold. If you have a point, study it hard, discuss with your colleagues, and if you come to same conclusion, take ahead. Don't hesitate. You will lose nothing. But if you don't take it now, at the earliest opportunity, next court, we might say it's a question of law, but court will refuse. You had the opportunity to raise question of jurisdiction before the law. Like in this tribunal, I raised 3-4 petitions. No, they passed the order to your jurisdiction matter, but we raised. Mr. Bharat told me, Mr. Verma, you are a senior member, what are you doing? I said, no jurisdiction. What's wrong in this? It's a law. Law is law. Order passed law to help jurisdiction. So adjudicating authority also, we will discuss in detail this definition. Agent. दिल्ली में एजेंसी का धंधा बहुत एजेंट की रिटर्न भी सब लगभग जाती है लोग फॉलो नहीं करते इससे वेरी सीरियस वायलेशन ऑफ लॉ अगेन मींस आई टोल्ड यू मोस्ट ऑफ द डेफिनेशंस आर मींस डेफिनेशन इन जीएसटी इट्स इजी आल्सो डिफिकल्ट आल्सो एजेंट मींस ए पर्सन हाउ यू डू द डेफिनेशन go to the P section of section 2 where the person is defined. If you see section 2 subsection 84, the word person is defined. This means a person. So that the agent could be any of the persons from A to N. Can be company, partnership, trust, anybody can be an agent. Now what you are reading is definition of agent. But you read definition of person also to understand whether I fall in this category. Now, person definition is includes. That's the problem you will have. Agent definition is restrictive, person is inclusive. See, if there are other people, they can also be included. But then there, you will apply a distant general step. इसमें लगेगा नहीं लगेगा. Person means a person including a factor. Person means a person. Agent means a person. I told you the definition can be means and includes. This one example we say means and includes. So if बोलता है agent है, person हो सकता है, but including a factor, broker, etc., etc., etc. Say for example, you are dealing with a case of a principal contractor and a subcontractor. Supreme Court, in that regime, they said a subcontractor is nothing but agent of principal contractor. Who steps into the shoes of contractor and who brings the property of the contractor and does the work. So this definitely becomes very huge. That is, if he becomes your agent, see? If you become your agent, your liability is joint and separate. If you step into the shoes of agent, then both are jointly separate level as the contractor. Aggregate turnover I will not go into because all of you take numbers, I don't know much. Agriculturist. Punjab has a lot of litigation in GST on this issue. So कहते हैं किसान है, tax free है, GST नहीं लगता, तो लगा रहे. The word is not agriculture. It's agriculture. agriculturist, the person who does the agriculture. When you read English, you read the provision, be careful. What is the opening word of a definition? Agriculturist means an individual or an HUF. So only, again it means the definition. That is, can we say a company can be agriculturist? Answer is no. It's a means definition. Individual or HUF who undertakes cultivation of land by own labor. Now remember the word and or is in English disjunctive. The word used here or. Good. I'm very happy. People are कल पूछे जाने नहीं आपसे फ्री में नहीं लेक्चर मेरा रिवार्ड ये कल आप बताओगे who undertakes cultivation where the land is defined. What is land? In this act, I'm sure land is not defined, but there are a lot of disputes in first product service on land. So land we will take up from general clauses or clause of property and what's the meaning of land. Let us say, on a roof garden, I grow mushrooms. Am I cultivating on land? I have given the opinion no. It's an actual case with me. They had a big bungalow in Punjab. Roof was 20,000 square feet. One. They grew the grass. उसपे आपने उन्हें मशरूम के गमले लगा किसी ने शिकायत तो क्यों भी जल्द से My opinion after reading the land was no. It's an opinion, it's not a law. But we have to examine what's the meaning of land. Land generally means underneath whose there are minerals and water. छत के अंदर नीचे को mineral water नहीं होता. That is the common parlance meaning of what? Land. Who is agriculturist? Individual HUF. The word is all. You can do any of the activities. You can be. Now you understand the meaning of and or. Are you clear? इस दो बार and और की जगह and होता है सारी कंडीशन को सेटिस्फाई करनी. What और है? आपको कोई भी कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई करनी है. You will be agriculturist. You simply have to read it for 2 minutes by conceptualizing the meaning of these words and or. Appellate authority, appellate tribunal, no. Appointed date. Most of the laws that are passed by parliament and cleared by president, after president clears, they have to be notified. They become applicable only from the date when they are notified. That is called appointed date. For example, for the purpose of GST, appointed date was 1st July 2017. So, चार्जिंग सेक्शन 9 उससे पहले लागू नहीं हो सकता. दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ अपॉइंटेड डेट. तो इन्होंने कितनी अमेंडमेंट, हजारों अमेंडमेंट जो जीएसटी में की है. अगर आपके पास कोई ऐसा कॉम्प्लेक्स इशू आता है वेयर देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ लिविबिलिटी ऑफ डेट, प्लीज गो थ्रू व्हाट वाज द अपॉइंटेड डेट. असेसमेंट, पहला एक्ट है जिसमें असेसमेंट डिफाइंड. जीएसटी में 6 तरह की असेसमेंट स्पेसिफिकली डिफाइंड है. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. This is the only law and it's a very good provision. We lawyers cannot challenge कि जो आपका गलत है, आपका पावर नहीं है, पावर है. Now, assessment also is a mean the definition. So if you have to give me a demand notice under section 73, 74, you have to first assess me. Then you can give me demand. That's what they do. They adjudicate the show cause notice and issue an assessment. Not going to what it because I told you. Business. Again, definition is includes. So there can be 1,000 more types. We don't know how many types could be there. Capital goods. Now there's a lot of litigation coming on this definition called capital goods. Again, a means definition. Now remember, this definition deals to only goods. There are no services or both. When you read, keep your ears and eye open. This definition only means. इसके अलावा और कोई कैपिटल गुड्स नहीं हो सकते. क्या कहते हैं? First, they should be goods. Goods are defined. Go to definition of goods. Section 252. Section 252. Definition थोड़ी अलग है. Goods also definition means every kind of movable property. That's what the court said under section 67. Cash is every kind of property. This is every kind of property. This is good defined in section 252. Therefore, cash could be seized under section 166. So capital goods means goods. अब कैसे पढ़ेंगे आप इसको? गुड्स की आगे पेंसिल से लिख लो सबसेक्शन 52. तभी आपको जैक दिए, इसको हमेशा अपने पास रखो, अपने टेबल पर रखो. हम यही करते हैं, बार बार देख लेने पर. एक बार ध्यान से लिख लो 52. बच्चे हमसे साथ हैं ना स्कूल में एबीसी लिखना, मैं आपको सिखा दूंगा. ठीक है, इसका भी करेंगे. 52 लिख लो. Mean value of which is capitalized in the books of accounts of the person. Person is defined, and that's an inclusive definition. Claiming the input tax credit and which are used or intended to be used in the course of furtherance of business. It's a huge definition. बहुत बड़ी definition है. किसके लिए relevant है? Only when you have to claim input tax credit, otherwise it's अपने no value. आपके दामों में जो मर्जी करो. Only when you claim input tax credit, claiming input tax credit, that the definition will interplay with your section 16. Otherwise, the definition are no meaning. The value of goods should be capitalized. I have a different opinion with my friend chartered accountants. When is the goods capitalized? They are not adopted your accounting standards in GST. I differ with people who say that हमने किया no. Section 12 will be applicable for capital goods also, time of supply. Unless accounting standards have been defined. Remember the principle of related act? A chartered accountant accounting standard is not a related act to be interpreted in GST. इस पे कंफ्यूजन है, काफी लोगों ने से डेफिनेशन क्या है भाई, इस पे बताओ ना. सेक्शन 16 में पता है, इसको बताओ. When did you capitalize? For example, you buy plant and input tax credit 28%. That's the generator. You buy in April, capitalize in next March. Can you claim input tax credit in April? You buy a capital goods on which you claim input tax credit. You buy generator in April, but you capitalize in March. Can you claim in April? Capital goods. Well, that's the debate. I gave an opinion no. 10-page opinion we wrote on this, going through income tax law. What is capital goods and are they capitalized? And the CFO of the company was shocked.
What you did in March? What is March?
वहाँ भी problem है. But since you are raising it a tax invoice within the same accounting year, you can claim till September. But when are you capitalizing? Is it your part a capitalization entry right in April? कुछ करते हो, मुझे पता नहीं कैसे करते हैं. No, word is not there. Word है कि ना? You cannot add words to the statute unless required. If the interpretation is unambiguous and clear, no court can add to words.
Supposing you have bought a machinery, it is not yet installed, then you can do it as a work in progress. Then it is not capitalized. There you are saying that okay, you
We are discussing only capital.
then you are very right.
WIP we are not discussing.
But otherwise क्या करेंगे आप? How
ये
did you
तो
do
आप-
it?
मैं तो आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ.
Question is,
But there is a caveat in this.
I think so. He said that we bought a machinery in the month of March.
April.
We bought it in April. No, मार्च में किया
अप्रैल.
आपने
अप्रैल में किया, मार्च में capitalize किया.
कैपिटलाइज कब किया?
मार्च में, अगले मार्च.
11 months के बाद
11 months के बाद.
When will you get input?
capitalize करेंगे.
No. Yes.
Like that.
That's debatable, no? If between two chartered accountant and advocate, I examined in detail. I said no, you cannot claim.
You are right. I second that.
Now what will happen? Supposing you did not use the definition and you are a litigant lawyer. Your client is dead. उसकी सारी रिटर्न गलत है. If I am the revenue officer, I'll fleece the hell out of him. 12 की 12 रिटर्न आपने गलत है because you claim 2,80,000. You kept setting the overhead output tax in next month, all for that. So any mistake in GST law relates back. Doesn't matter. तो बात ही खत्म है, 50 साल हो गए. No, April
Next
That is
21
September of
मार्च 22 को हमने कैपिटलाइज किया. कि अगले संबंध कर सकते हैं आप, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, उसमें कोई इशू नहीं. But the debate is कि what is the meaning of this phrase when capitalized? Capital goods are normally capitalized. But the condition is you go to claim input as credit for that capital.
How can you decide what will be calculated?
ये चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट इंस्टीट्यूट मेरे को अकाउंटिंग का ही यार मैं जूनियर इज विटनेस टू इट कि मेरे को ये भी नहीं पता मैंने इसको कितने पैसे दिए कितने से खर्च किए.
Because as per GST law and facing this issue, the officer is not accepting what I'm
If it should
calculating.
not accept, even I think I will not accept. Oh, he will go to definition. Now, unless you examine more and say that this could mean this as well in a related law, I did not find anything. I did work on this honestly. I didn't find anything. And I can tell you the company reversed with interest. They did not face to come. तो इसका वो वे आउट नहीं है. अगर आपने अप्रैल का अगले समर तक क्लेम नहीं किया फिर तो क्लेम कर ही नहीं सकते इस टाइम बाद. भारतीय एयरटेल के केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्लियर कर दिया लिमिटेशन था फैक्टर्स है. रिफंड आप 2 साल में क्लेम नहीं करते साल बाद. Your money, but you can't claim it. People hold a huge statutory right. I think no, it's not a vested right anymore. It's a concession given by. The concession aimed within the conditions prescribed. But when a definition itself is a means definition, it's to put these conditions on. Then, whenever you claim input tax credit section 16,
Then you give the citation to these folks.
मेरा article है. मेरा article है.
जगह पढ़ा था कि जब हमारी कोई भी हम कुछ भी पर्ची करते हैं और उसको जब EMI में हम खर्च करते हैं, तो जब हमारी जब तक लास्ट EMI नहीं होती तब तक हम उसका ITC नहीं ले सकते.
जब आप जो आपके लगा था डिलीवरी होती रहती है उसका एक प्रोविजन अलग है.
लेकिन अगर कोई EMI 18 या उससे ज़्यादा में करता है तो इसका मतलब वो नहीं करना
नहीं वो अलग प्रोविजन है. फॉर एग्जांपल क्रेडिट नोट्स whenever you should write out in tax period you can claim. उसमें लिमिटेशन नहीं है. सेक्शन 34 में ऐसा लिमिटेशन नहीं है. But if you go to section 39 dealing with returns, it's subject to section 16. 39(4) का जो लिमिटेशन है 16(4) की लिमिटेशन है बिल्कुल सेम है. भारतीय रिटर्न ने ये तो रिफ्लेक्ट किया. Again, now this another question comes. Don't jump when you read one section. Maybe there are consequences in some other section. That's why the principle of read the whole act before you come to a conclusion. कौन पे पूछ के करोगे तो गलत होगा. हमको भी उतना ही आता है जितना आपको आता है. Study. That is principle of whole act. Don't jump to one conclusion. हाँ जी वैसे भी आप बोलो जी हमारे तो ऑडिट करके जी बात खत्म होगी. No, it's not about. Then the 70% still applicable. Research में 10 बार भी हो सकती थी. There is a bar. A different issue. They can do 10 times. So therefore, capital goods will be another thing we shall be discussing with case law. How do we sort out this mess? If there is any. Casual tax person, we don't have much here. Opposite supply. I don't know how many of you ever read section 7, section 8, ever read in last 5 years. किसी ने पढ़े हो तो बताओ. Can anybody raise hand जिसने सेक्शन 7 और 8 पढ़ा आज तक? हम सबको पता है क्या होता है. For example, if I give you an exercise कि मेरा एक बुटीक होटल है जिसका रूम का किराया 800 रुपए. It's exam. I don't have to have it. पर मैं कहता हूँ जिसका मैं खाना भी सर्व करता हूँ जिसका खाना 300 रुपए. I say खाना मैं नहीं देता वो तो राहुल को का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. Again I'm out of GST situation unless the collusion can be. So this composite supply, mixed supply, if you do not master these concepts, आने वाले लिटिगेशन में बहुत प्रॉब्लम पड़ेगा. परसों मैंने पूछ रहा था कि दिवाली के लिए कोई लिकर वेंडर है मेरा दोस्त है. कहता है वर्मा जी अगर ये हम अपना हमारी ब्लू लेवल की इसकी कॉर्पोरेट गिफ्टिंग के लिए एक बीच में गोल्ड का मॉन्ट ब्लैंक गिफ्ट रख लें टैक्स फ्री रहेगा. मैं कहा सबको टैक्स दो ही मत पैनल नंबर 2 में खरीदो आप. व्हाट अबाउट विस्की? वो डिबेटेबल है उसके पैसे तो वो डिबेट
इसकी वैसे दे दो.
तो बिना पैसे के देती है।
नहीं टैक्सेबिलिटी
Taxability.
टैक्सेबिलिटी देगा
बताएंगे, उसका भी बताएंगे। That is, that becomes a mixed supply. That's an example, a mixed supply. Because both are not related products. Whiskey and Mont Blanc and cannot be related products.
Which is it, right?
For example, a woman goes, what's your name? Anji? Gunjan. Suppose you go to a shop, you buy a pure silk suit for 10,000 rupees, and it is set with a pashmina shawl of 10 lakh rupees. It's a complete set. Can we say pashmina shawl will be taxed differently? No. It's a composite supply, the rate will be whatever it finds, whatever government rate.
Hamper price of the whiskey bottle.
Now, supposing you go to a Diwali big gift package, इसमें biscuits हैं, chocolates हैं, कुछ और चीजें हैं. You have to make out कि whether they are complementary related products or they can be sold together. Composite. It's a big supply. तो अगर 10 में से 8 चीजों का रेट 5% था, 2 चीजों का रेट 18% है, सब पे 18% था. That is the difference of importance of these two definitions of composite supply and mixed supply. Let's go through it quickly. We will discuss in detail when we come on litigation on this issue. Again, it's a means definition. Continue want to repeat. Don't words means inclusive, comprises, consist of. Means consist of, comprises means definition is restrictive, inclusive means and includes means it's actually definition. So composite supply means a supply. Can we have a tea break please quickly before we start again? Thank you. कोई आप नहीं आए थे ना फिर अपने शुरू कर दिए
भाई इधर ही मंगवा के सबको
कल कमरा नहीं देंगे
सोचा ये था कि आते ही पहले चाय पी के फिर अंदर बैठे